What a move by Howie Roseman! Whoa! Hey, yo, everybody, how you doing? So, when I put out my video of Derek Barnett being drafted and my thoughts, I got a lot of pushback. I got a ton of pushback. And it was okay. Some of it was even justified. But in the days that followed, I started hearing people who didn't want Derek Barnett or were not that high on Derek Barnett going at 14. I started to hear these people on the radio and phone-in calls and videos start to change the tune. All of a sudden, they had time to think about it. They had time to react in a logical way to the pick, okay? And I started thinking to myself, maybe they're right. Maybe I got it wrong. I mean, I know the guy's a good player in college. I know he broke Reggie White's sack record. I know that he's got a good motor. I know he's a good guy. I know he checks off all the lists and all the boxes. Maybe I need to do the same thing. Maybe I need to do the same thing. And I thought about it, and I was thinking about it, and I said, I'm not Mike Mayock Jr. I'm not Mr. Draft Expert, always right. I'm not. I go out, I look at people, and I try to give my own opinion based upon what I see and not influenced by other people and other groups and what other people have to say. I try to be honest and give my opinion. So if I had to come out and say, I think after reviewing it and sleeping on it, I think this Derek Barnett pick was a good pick, I would be dishonest to you. I don't want to be dishonest to the people that watch my video, to my subscribers. I don't want to do that. I don't want to be dishonest. I don't mind being wrong. I can be wrong. Wrong is fine. Everybody's wrong. I can be wrong and admit when I'm wrong. If I'm wrong about him, I can admit it. But I don't want to lie. I don't want to say something's not true just to sound like everybody else. I can't do that. That's not Philly 500. So I decided not to do the video. But I couldn't think of why Derek Barnett pick, I didn't like it. And I started thinking about it. Why don't I like this pick? I know he was in SEC. I know he broke record. I know all the things that are good about him. I know. I get it. But why don't I like the pick? And then I saw a video. And it was the Eagles in the draft room when they were taking Derek Barnett at 14. And Howie Roseman says, guys, we're going to take Derek Barnett here. And then they showed the video. And at one point, they showed Howie Roseman and Joe Douglas talking. And I swear to you, and to me, this is what it looked like. Howie smiled, looked away. Joe Douglas looks down, and it looked like he's like, that son of a bitch. I swear, I think he wasn't happy. He didn't look happy in that moment. And I started thinking, if Joe Douglas wasn't on this team, and if it was Howie Roseman running the show, okay, let's just say Howie was running the show and nobody else was involved, who would have the Eagles taken at 14? Who would they take? Because everybody's saying this is Joe Douglas's pick. They would have took Derek Barnett. They would have took Derek Barnett. I'm convinced of it. And it hit me. It hit me. This team is doing the same thing they always do. The Derek Barnett pick bothers me because it isn't Joe Douglas. It was Howie Roseman's pick. Okay? Now you may be saying, no, the Eagles said that Joe Douglas made the pick. He liked it. He came in and said, look at this letter. I don't believe it. I don't believe it. The track record shows you one thing. Howie Roseman takes defensive ends and he blows them. He screws them up. He thinks at taking defensive ends. Okay? Think about it. Howie Roseman was going to take this guy all along. Now, the other thing is the Eagles, they talked about best player available. All leading up to the draft, BPA. We don't care the position. We care about the best player on the board. One need, 1 year, may not be, and all that crap, they gave it to us. And they never said, we want to draft the biggest need based on talent. That's not what they said, because that's what they always do every year of the past. But this is what they did this time. They took best player on the board according to need. They did it again. So all this talk about they're going to take the best player available, all this talk about that was a lie. Okay? It was a lie. And it's just like the whole off season, as far as I'm concerned, all these one-year contracts, right, for building for the future. We're going to take the best player available. Joe Douglas was put in place to give Howie Roseman cover. He is a puppet. You understand? He's the puppet. So Howie can make his moves. Now, think about this. If I bet you that during the year, if Barnett's showing, right, and he's showing up and he's playing good, you're going to start to hear leaked things saying Howie Roseman was the one that really pushed Derek Barnett. It was Howie Roseman who really convinced Joe Douglas. You're going to hear it. It's going to happen because that's what always happens, okay? So Derek Barnett may be a great player, and I realize it's not him. It has nothing to do with him. I distrust this front office. I distrust Howie Roseman. And no matter what they do, I'm not going to believe what they say. Because the actions and the track record show over and over again that they don't do what they say. They do the opposite. This whole thing where they took the best player, no way Derek Barnett was the best player on the board. You're going to say that? I don't believe it. I disagree. I doubt it. Okay? There were better players on the board in terms of talent, but at different positions that they didn't feel was a need. Okay? They are dishonest. It's dishonest. I don't believe them. Howie Roseman took Brandon Graham at 13 in 2010. He took Marcus Smith. The Eagles have taken Jerome McDougal. They took Vinnie Curry in the second round. They take defensive ends and they get them wrong all the time. So now you're telling me that I'm supposed to believe that Derek Barnett is the great pick because the Eagles have such a good track record. Oh, no, it's Joe Douglas. It's Joe Douglas, right? Yeah, it's Joe Douglas. Prove it. How do you know it's Joe Douglas? Show me. Because they said so? They say a lot of things and they don't do it. It's bull. This is Howie Roseman, because you can line it up with all his actions in the past of all the other guys I just said, show you that he did the same thing again. It's the same thing. Why do you think they hired Doug Peterson? Because he's a genius? He's such a football mind? The guy that can't run a pattern other than a hook? No. It's because Doug Peterson wouldn't challenge Howie Roseman. Why did it take so long to get somebody in place in the front office? Because they had to get somebody who was willing to be the front man for Howie Roseman. So, I know why I didn't like the Derek Barnett pick. It's not Derek Barnett. It's Howie Roseman. It's the front office. I distrust this front office. And I'm going to continue to distrust this front office. And for you guys who've forgiven Howie Roseman and think that he is just, you know, the greatest guy, he does all these great moves with the salary cap and the Carson Wentz stuff and all that. He had no choice. The Carson Wentz stuff was great, but it was his ass. He wasn't going to last. He had to do something, okay? But it's my contention that after the year in which they got Carson Wentz, this year they've taken a step in the wrong direction. I believe that. But we're going to see what happens. I don't think if the Eagles were taking the best player available, talent-wise, they would have taken Derek Barnett. Now, if you want to say he's the best player on the board, I disagree. I think the Eagles say that because they have to. But I think he was the best player on the board with need, okay? Drafting because of need. But that's not what they were supposed to do because that's what they always do. They always do that. And they always get it wrong. Okay? They weren't supposed to take the best player available. And they didn't. And they didn't. They're feeding us a line of crap. And that's why I was pissed off about the Derek Barnett pick. I got it figured out. And you know what? We have to go into, in the upcoming weeks, we have to dive into this Howie Roseman thing more and expose it. Because it's brutal. I mean, it's brutal, the bullcrap that they're feeding. Take care. Talk to you later.